Usually we're talking about NBA action. I don't know, college basketball, whatever it might be. But now we sort of head into those summer months. But I always like to say this, Joe, when we're talking about the NBA, like, the regular season is fun. The handicapping, the gambling, heading into the finals and the playoffs, a lot of excitement. But the NBA brings that heat like no other sport in the offseason, where it's almost drama daily until we get the next season underway. And the Lakers have been a part of that drama. They've been searching for a coach, Joe, it seems like for months on end. Found their guy, didn't find their guy, new group of guys, surprising guys trying to hire, like Dan Hurley coming from UConn, which didn't work out. They fall back on J.J. Redick, and a tweet yesterday coming out from Adrian Wojnarowski. ESPN sources, J.J. Redick has agreed on a 4-year contract to become the next head coach of the Lakers. Rob Pelinka offered him that morning, which was yesterday, and Redick started to work on his staff right away. So let's get the first thoughts out here. J.J. Redick to the Lakers, yes or no, it works out. When I mean works out, is it at least not a train wreck, and we can have some success in Los Angeles, Joe?
Oh, no, this is train wreck written all over, buddy. This is going to be, sign me up for it. I can't wait. And you know what's really interesting to me here with both the Hurley attempt at hiring and now the Redick is how quiet LeBron James has been. It's almost as if, Donnie, he is distancing himself as far away from this next coaching search. So you know what? When it does blow up, he can go, I had nothing to do with this. I didn't know it. I had no idea this is the direction they were going. Plausible deniability for LeBron. He has not said 2 words either way, either the Hurley situation or now Redick. I think because we all know how this is going to end. Kudos to Redick for getting the job. I mean, you went from podcaster to NBA head coach of the greatest franchise in the history of the NBA. But, along with that comes mountains and mountains of pressure, and guys more qualified than you, Redick, have sat in that seat and couldn't make it through it. I don't see how this works in any way, shape, or form.
Look, the Lakers are about superstars. We understand that. And the Lakers are going to bend over backwards here, taking a look at what they need to do to keep LeBron James. Is it going to be to draft Bronny? Is it going to be to obviously offer a really big lucrative deal once LeBron James opts out this summer of that Lakers contract to come back? But also let's keep in mind, like, this isn't done like, hey, you know what? If LeBron doesn't like it, so what? Like, LeBron chose him to do a podcast with. They're obviously familiar with each other, and they think it's intriguing if they could work together. And LeBron James basically calling the shots. LeBron James has to give his blessing to a head coach for the Lakers. Otherwise, he does have the ability to opt out. It's not as if the Buss family is like, you know what, LeBron, you're locked in for 5 years. You'll take whatever coach we get. We have the right to trade you if we want to or keep you, so you're going to have to deal with it. That's not the case in this instance. But let me ask you this question. We saw Hurley, and the initial indications when they were going to offer Hurley the job for the Lakers was going to be somewhere around $100+ million, which, like, you know what? That's going to take a lot of money to get him out of Storrs, Connecticut to head out to Los Angeles. He doesn't take the deal, and it turns out it was only, and I say only fictitiously here, $65 to $60 million. It's a 4-year deal. What do you think those dollar figures are right now for J.J. Redick with the Lakers? Is it a heavy deal, or are we going to be like, ooh, they got him pretty cheap here?
I'm sure they got him pretty, well, they probably had a number in mind that they knew it was, you can't say no to, but it was, a lot of people were very miffed by the whole idea of what they offered Hurley. They thought that was going to be a $100 million deal, that was going to be the kind of money that he could not say no to. And they did the same thing with Ty Lue. If you remember back in 2019, they went cheap with that. And Ty Lue's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want nothing to do with this. So I don't know why they keep going cheap with trying to get the guys they want. You did it with Hurley. You did it with Ty Lue. This is now the 7th head coach of the Lakers since Phil Jackson left, in 2011? This is a dumpster fire of an organization. And this hire just goes to tell you with everything that's wrong with the Lakers right now.
You're right, because, we understand, like, the Lakers logo and emblem means a lot. It's one of the most prestigious spots you could be at, but also sometimes those teams treat it as, you're lucky that we even consider you to be a head coach. Whatever deal we give you to be the Lakers head coach, goes in part. And also from a J.J. Redick perspective, he made a lot of money in the NBA. He's still young. And if he says, you know what, in a year and a half or 2 years, this didn't work out, where does he go, Joe? Right back into the booth. So it's almost like a risk-free option, not like, boy, I'm going to take this leap of faith. If this doesn't work out here, I'll never get a job again in this business. He will be fine at this. But the questions are going to be also, if it was a LeBron James blessing, is there a chance, Joe, that we find ourselves here in a couple weeks going, okay, LeBron James opted out of the Lakers deal, which we expect because he was going to opt back in for more money. Could he opt out and leave and be like, wow, I thought J.J. Redick coming to the Lakers was because LeBron James gave it okay. Is there a chance that LeBron James doesn't actually play for the Lakers in 2024?
No, because publicly he has acted as if he knows nothing about what's going on. But behind the scenes, we all know better than that, right? This hire doesn't happen unless it was already talked about. But what he's doing is he's putting himself in the same kind of spot that he put with Darvin Ham. Like, I had nothing to do with this. We all know they went to you and said, are you okay if we hire this guy? And every guy that has gotten, booted since, basically LeBron has been able to wash his hands of it and go, I really had nothing to do with it. It wasn't my call. Of course it's your call. This is your call. But Hurley at least was a hire, Donnie. They were looking towards the future for post-LeBron era to have a coach in place that could rebuild. You're not going to have that here with this hire. This is a strict one-and-done type of situation.
It feels like it, too, because for my money, you look at Hurley coming over, and we thought it was probably going to be maybe even, Joe, like a 10-year, like 10 years, $120 million. Like, blow him away, give him a lot of money, and also a lot of, hey, I'm not going to go anywhere in 2 years. So if LeBron James, after 3 games, goes, I can't play for this guy, well, then the Lakers were like, well, the coach is staying, and we might get rid of you at this point. It'll be interesting the way this plays out. And also, was this agreed upon because Hurley coming over to be that next linchpin there out there for the Lakers to carry over from the LeBron era? And maybe Bronny James doesn't go to the Lakers. Does he go to the Lakers? Boy, there is a lot of turmoil right now. But I think it's going to be interesting to find ourselves halfway through the season, those behind the scenes and back talking, is this guy a good coach and is he right for the job? We'll find out. More NBA talk next year on a Hockey Friday on the SportsGrid Network. You got it. We'll be right back. NBA offseason action is always fantastic, and we've already heated up. What is it, the hot stove in Major League Baseball? Yeah, it should be the hot stove in the NBA because trades are happening. Free agency is about to be upon us. Coaches are being hired, and we're just a few days out of the Boston Celtics crowned world champions of the NBA. But as we saw yesterday, Joe, Adrian Wojnarowski again with a Woj bomb. Chicago Bulls trading 2-time all-defensive guard Alex Caruso to the Oklahoma City Thunder for guard Josh Giddey, sources tell ESPN. Now, is this going to be a major move that's going to dictate the power from the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference? No, it's not. But I actually really like the move here for Oklahoma City. It's almost like, okay, we have a young team here. Now we're going to get that blend in here. Bring in those veteran guys that know how to win, that will play defense and help guide us here as a great piece to the puzzle. So I like this move here. As you pointed out, I think the move is pretty good for OKC. Questionable for the Chicago Bulls here and what their future actually is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Caruso has been we can make the argument, right? He has been one of the most sought-after role players in the NBA because this is not the first time we're talking about Caruso. There are teams that have been doing everything to try to get him. I mean, just look at what the bench guys and those role players of Boston did. They can all shoot the three. They can all play defense. And guess what? He's a 41% three-point shooter. He is exactly what teams would love to have. And he's a luxury for OKC. But more importantly, OKC's like, you know what? Dallas ain't getting him. Denver ain't getting him. Nobody else in the West that matters is getting him because now he's on our team. And by the way, he only makes $1 million more, $1.5 million more than what Josh Giddey does. So there's no long-term commitment here for OKC either. I think they absolutely won this trade.
Yeah, good move overall. And certainly you get that playoff guy that's been there, done that before. It'll be fun to see how it plays out. And again, very high on OKC next year to win a championship. Speaking of championship odds, we just saw the Boston Celtics roll through the regular season, roll through the Eastern Conference, and roll through the Dallas Mavericks to win the NBA Finals. So it's no surprise next year when we take a look at the finals prices on the FanDuel Sportsbook. The Boston Celtics, a 3-1 price. The Denver Nuggets plus 750. The T-Wolves plus 850. The Bucks at 9-1. And also the Thunder, after making that move under 10-1, sit at a 9-1 price. So let me ask you this, because it's very simple. Like, let's break down OKC next year. Let's not do that. Of course, the price point here. The Celtics right now are the best team in the NBA, but that price point at 3-1 to start the season, for me, even if I think they're the best team in the NBA, that's not a price I'm willing to tie up for what, 9 months to get my money back?
I think the stat was, Donnie, this was just the 15th time in NBA history in which a preseason favorite actually won the championship. So it's not something that happens every year. It's been few and far between here. So the Celtics obviously got it done as the favorites last year. It is not easy to do. There's a reason why there haven't been a ton of them throughout the history of the NBA, because a lot can happen in an 82-game season between now and this time next year. So I do think that also opens up the opportunities at some really nice numbers for some other teams that we think can certainly make that next step here, Donnie, next year.
Yeah, here's the fun thing, Joe, about this, too, because we take a look at reading this, and it's a lot easier sometimes when it's, let's just say, the night before the NBA season starts. Why? You know what these teams are going to produce, who made moves in the summer, whose players are injured to start the season. You're like, okay, I'll take the Celtics at 3-1. Here's what's intriguing, because you take a look at the other teams that are going to be vying and say, you know what? We got to improve our team to take down the Celtics. So you take a look at teams like the Bucks if they make any moves, the Thunder if they continue, because they have a lot of money under the salary cap and a lot of ammunition in trades with so many picks that they have in the future. The Philadelphia 76ers out there sitting at a 12-1 price. They're not a finished product. They're hunting for another superstar, and who might that be? We'll talk about that in the next segment here. But talk about, Joe, betting over the summer when we know these teams aren't final. Can you find yourself getting that added bonus? Or maybe like, you know what? I'm going to do my work, do a little intel. I think I'm getting a great price because I expect, let's just say, the Knicks to make a move, and I'll be getting 16-1 at a much better price down the summer than I would to start the season.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but look at OKC. I mean, nobody is in a better spot financially, draft capital, to go out and get, are you ready for this? How about an Isaiah Hartenstein? Because they're going to make him an offer they probably can't refuse. And all of a sudden, this team looking a lot like the Boston Celtics this year of the West. Everyone shoots a three. Everyone can play defense. They can space the floor. OKC at that price is very attractive to me in the futures market.
We'll go over a couple moves here in that next segment, but also keep in mind, players are looking to get paid this summer. One of those players, Paul George, mysterious comments on maybe not making himself so endearing to his next team and what he's willing to do to win a championship. NBA Talk on a Friday? Who says no? Certainly not Joe and Donnie. We'll be right back. Let's hit it hard on the hardwood. Teach your kid to dribble basketball, fire three-pointers, and if you can average yourself 15 points and 5 assists in the NBA, you'd be eligible for an $80 million contract, just like we're saying for Malik Monk to stay in Sacramento. 4 years, $78 million, which does include a player option. The price of the brick goes up day to day in the NBA, and if you are a serviceable player like Monk is, you are going to get paid. Nice to keep him in town. Malik Monk, $80 million, Joe Ranieri. How about that?
Yeah, it must be nice. I mean, let's be realistic here. The best job in the world, Donnie, might be the sixth man on an NBA bench, just raking in that money each and every year and only having to play 6 minutes a game. It can't go wrong. I don't know how we sign up for that job, but Monk, I think, is very worth it. And every team who's serious about winning a championship needs a Malik Monk on that roster in that spot, and they just made sure he's not going to play for anybody else. So I like the signing for Sacramento for sure.
Yeah, Sacramento, good basketball team. We'll see what they do in 2024. Yep. But again, you are eligible now. Most players on their teams, you can sign those extensions and not wait for the true start of free agency, which brings us up here to Paul George and where he might go. Now, in the NBA, there's very few players that garner, hey, he's got to be a max contract guy. And we're thinking Paul George is that. But there's a couple different scenarios that we're going to get to here. First, let's start with the tweet yesterday from Shams. The Philadelphia 76ers' interest in pursuing Paul George has significantly waned in recent days, and the franchise is expected to be aggressive elsewhere with a salary cap flexibility, which is interesting because Paul George has been linked to Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a max spot open where they're looking for another superstar to sort of propel and say, you know what? Max is a rising superstar. And Embiid's already an MVP talent. We just need that third wheel to help the guys out and maybe make a deep run past the second round in the Eastern Conference playoffs. But let me ask you this question about Paul George before we get to some of the stuff that came out yesterday. In your opinion, is Paul George worthy of a max contract in this day and age in the NBA?
No, absolutely not. Not if you're serious about winning. But, you know, it's a case-by-case scenario. If you have the money and you truly believe that you are just one superstar, unfortunately, on his way down, but it's that kind of experience and that kind of professionalism with a bunch of young guys you need, then, you have to cross that bridge. You can't say no. But even the stuff out of his mouth, Donnie, I mean, when you listen to Paul George, the idea of, I'm not chasing a title anymore at this point in my career, I'm not don't worry, because I'm not giving you a max deal here for you not to be interested in chasing a championship. So it's very interesting with Paul George here. He's never quite lived up to the previous deals that he has gotten. The injuries continue to pile up. He's not getting any younger. I don't blame the 76ers from taking a step back and going, they got $65 million in cap space, I think, this year. They can do a lot of things with that, and not tying it up with Paul George, I think, would maybe be the best move for Murray.
Eligible to sign these deals. Now, when we talk about what it means to the organization of the player to an organization, let's equate this, Joe, to the NFL. We'll go to the Minnesota Vikings. When this season opened, the past season, even though Justin Jefferson got injured, their general manager took that microphone and goes, we think he's the best wide receiver in football. We're going to probably pay him more than anybody's ever gotten at the wide receiver position. We want him here long term. It sets the stage for there's going to be a negotiation, but Justin Jefferson is not leaving town. We love this guy. The reason I bring that up is we're not getting that from the Clippers on Paul George. Do you remember it was hey, let's wrap all these guys up and make sure they're here long term. James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. We're moving into our new stadium. We got Tyronn Lue. We're not getting those vibes that we're hearing from their ownership group. It doesn't matter. We're going to give him more money than anybody can. He's going to be happy to play in Los Angeles, which means he's going to be a free agent, whether or not he signs back with the Clippers. But do you view that the same way I do? We're not hearing those vibes out of LA hey, if we lose him, we lose him. Otherwise, we can't lose this guy. We got to handle our business. I'm not getting that picture right now.
Well, you're not getting it also if you're the Clippers, because you already made your choice, Donnie, didn't they, in January when they extended Kawhi? They made the decision on where they were going to invest. They'd rather have Kawhi than Paul George, and I think that tells you exactly where the Clippers feel Paul George is in the pecking order, because they gave the money to Kawhi, and Kawhi, to his credit, is saying, hey, listen, I signed that extension because I thought, Harden and Paul George are going to be sticking around, but that's just not realistic, and Kawhi knows that. So, Harden took a much less deal in order to kind of prove it, in order to get maybe that one final contract, that one final max deal. Paul George might be in that spot where it may not be perfect, but he may have to take a little less in the short term if he's planning on getting one of those monster contracts again to finish his career.
Yeah, he's made a lot of money already, but let's also factor in, do you remember the days gone by of, when your agent would get a hold of you and say, you are about to be a free agent. Here's what I want you to do. You just can't get injured for the next 10 or so days. I don't even want you working out, playing ball, or anything. I want to secure this contract. And number two, I don't want you going around saying how much you love to play in a certain city or what you think it's worth. And certainly in this day and age, there weren't podcasts, let's just say 20 to 15 years ago, that were mass produced and getting out there, which they are now. So the thing you have to love if you're his agent, you say, okay, I'm trying to drum up interest. Paul, why don't you go and make yourself and put yourself in a good light here on some of these podcasts? So what does he do? Goes on a podcast and says basically this. I don't really know if I want to do the dirty work out here for some of these basketball teams. And quite frankly, I would like it if there was another alpha dog on the team, but not too much of an alpha dog on the team, because I still want to get mine. I don't really want to dribble the ball and be a point guard, but it would be nice if I could handle the ball a little bit more. You want to talk about just sabotaging, well, what does this guy actually want? He wants the most money he can get, doesn't want to be the alpha dog, doesn't want to play a ton of defense, still wants to win and goes to an organization, but I'm not really chasing championships. I'm just chasing the right chance to play ball in the right situation. What is he doing out here right now?
You and I are on the same page, because when I heard the quotes, I was like, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? So, apparently you hung around James Harden too much, because that sounds an awful lot like Harden, gimme, but, I can't really promise you that I'm going to be motivated enough. That there's a world of difference between Paul George and Jimmy Butler. Right? All things being equal, if you told me that, I'd give max deal to Jimmy Butler or Paul George, and Butler is a little older, I would say Jimmy Butler, because he's a dog. He is going to be a guy that's going to do everything, whether it works out or not, but he is a guy that's going to lay it all out there. Do we really feel that way about Paul George after that? I don't.
No. Yeah, he's telling us he doesn't. He's almost telling us, like, look, I know I'm going to get this one last payday. I'm going to make this glove fit perfectly here. Even if you don't like it, as long as the numbers are right for me, I'll then be able to do what I want. So we'll see how that turns out. But if he does go somewhere, let's just say, in your opinion, free agency opens up, give it a couple days. Is he back with the Clippers? Or where do you think he winds up here, Joe, if he's not with the Clippers?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is, and you got to be very careful here, Donnie. We know this, right? Mm-hmm. So are the Sixers backing off because they don't think he's leaving the Clippers? Is this all just a smoke show where they're like, listen, I'm not getting in a bidding war? Because the only person who wins there would be Paul George. Are the Sixers thinking that this is all really just a smoke show? We're being leveraged here, so he's not leaving Kawhi Leonard, right? The whole reason he's there is because of Kawhi Leonard, right? That's the only reason those two are there. So maybe this is all just a leverage ploy for Paul George, and the Sixers are like, sorry, you're not leaving. This is all smoke. You're not leaving, which could very well be. He might land exactly where he is right now.
Yeah, it almost gets those vibes of, like, let's just say Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. It was like, he's a free agent technically. Somebody negotiate with him, knowing that they go like, I'm not negotiating with this guy, because all he's going to do is pick that contract up, show it to the Ravens, and the Ravens will get out their pen and sign it. Like, okay, that's what you were worth on the open market. Come back to it. So it's a very good point in that aspect. But also, we did see during the NBA Finals, Joel Embiid on set, Paul George on set, being chummy here, but also, things happen for a reason at sometimes. I don't think the Sixers soured because of what Paul George actually said, which means they're probably hot on the tails of some other deal that's about to go down. And maybe Paul George is like, man, I can't use the Philadelphia 76ers for leverage anymore at this time. But we're only beginning here on the show on Friday. We got a lot more hot topics, Tid. No, people, your Friday morning just got even better. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. And now the coach, James Young, joins us today because why? The NBA offseason, baby, it never stops. And yesterday, we had one of those big cogs completed. It's J.J. Redick now to the Lakers. Before we get there, Coach, are you ready for this offseason? Are you invigorated? Do you know what's going to be coming up here over the next week to week and a half? I just need to know, J.Y., are you?
This is what will get me through. It is iced coffee. And you got to drink a lot of it because you never know when news is going to drop. Obviously, yesterday, a big trade in the NBA, a coach getting hired. The draft is coming up. Ricochet is starting to make his move as the number one pick. It's basketball never stops. And I think with the draft and so many teams thinking they're close, Donnie, I think it's going to be a chaotic offseason.
It's fantastic. It always is in the NBA, and we look forward to it every single year. It's almost like it gets that NFL level where there is 365 every single day, something new to talk about in the NBA, which, again, let's get to this. That Woj bomb yesterday, which wasn't really a Woj bomb, and did we anticipate this maybe a month ago? J.J. Redick, 4-year contract to coach the Los Angeles Lakers. When this news finally, Coach, came down yesterday, what was your thought process with the Lakers and J.J. Redick?
First thing was the size of the years of the contract. I mean, last week they offered Dan Hurley 6 years. They offered, JJ 4 years, which, let's be honest, folks, it's really a 3-year deal because at the end of the day, you're never going to be a lame duck coach. You either get extended or you get fired. So it's really a 3-year deal. And to me, it's when you look at it, it's kind of ironic that what happened in Detroit with Monty being let go, and there's rumors that maybe Detroit was going to think about coming in and swooping in on Redick, and that people like Udonis Haslem went on Get Up and said they should be calling Monty to maybe coach the Lakers, and then all of a sudden, as soon as it happened, there was a deal done, like literally like that minute. So maybe it pushed the Lakers to finally make this decision. Is it the right decision? To me, it's going to be about, Donnie, the staff that you surround around J.J. Redick, folks. You got to simply put, J.J. Redick has never sat on the bench as even an assistant coach in the NBA. Now, listen, I get it. When he talks on ESPN, he's by far the most articulate guy on the network talking basketball. He understands the modern game, right? He's got great relationships with the players, which will help him not only with LeBron, but maybe in getting in free agents, so on and so forth. But to me, you're going to have to surround him, Donnie, with an all-star staff. You got to get guys that have head coaching experience, right, to sit on the bench with him. And then you got to get guys that also are high-level assistants. So you've already saw names, Jared Dudley. You looked at Sam Cassell is someone that's already been mentioned. So you're going to try and get the best staff possible for JJ to help him with all the X's and O's and all the extra stuff that he may not be ready for. Because I'll tell you this much, it doesn't matter how long you've been on a bench. It is a huge jump to go to the head coaching job. Now imagine doing it, Donnie, and never even being an assistant first.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a dumpster fire. Sign me up for it, Coach. This will now be the 7th head coach since 2011 when Phil Jackson stepped down. 7th for one of the all-time storied franchises in the NBA. What do you think Anthony Davis thinks of this hire, Coach?
I mean, I think Anthony Davis, he's going to have to kind of approve of this hire, but, we'll see what his thought process here is here. But it's important, that you have to get him on board. He is the future of the franchise, right? It's more than just LeBron. It's Anthony Davis. So I think that's why you saw there was talk about Borrego before, because of the fact of the fact that it may have made sense to Anthony Davis. So whatever you do, you have to make sure it lines up for both sides. And that's the thing that you kind of have a rough side of it is, as a Lakers, you have to think two ways. You have to think about the now and you have to think about the future. And they kind of tie in hand. That's why it makes it a complicated hire. But I also think that's why it's only a 4-year deal, because they can kind of get themselves out of it about 2 years or so if it doesn't work out.
About 30 seconds left here. What can we actually anticipate from J.J. Redick as the coach? Is it championship or bust, or is it a learning curve that maybe he can be their long-term coach?
Well, listen, they're basically a play-in tournament team. Let's be honest. Yeah. They got to be able to make the playoffs. So we'll see what happens here. But in a loaded Western Conference with all these teams, it's going to be an uphill climb. At the end of the day, he's going to need better players.
Yeah, let's keep it around the NBA. A lot of hot topics to go with, but certainly none hotter than J.J. Redick, now the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, and what that means to LeBron James. We'll be right back to discuss that and much, much more. It's a great Friday here on the early line. Sirius XM Channel 159 on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Ranieri, Donnie right side. Hopefully we get the coach back here. A little technical difficulties behind the scenes. We'll get it worked out here, but the hot topics continue to roll nonetheless. And where we left off was J.J. Redick of the Los Angeles Lakers, now their head coach. So when we're trying to take a look at what this means for the future, let's answer this. It's a 4-year contract. If I told you right now an over-under of 1.5 years on J.J. Redick being the Los Angeles Lakers head coach, what would you decide today, over or under?
I can only think, here's the thing. It is still the greatest job to have in the NBA, being a Lakers head coach, right? But it is also the most difficult job to have for a guy with no experience, Donnie. We can all agree on that, whether he's successful or is not successful. And I don't tend to think that when your best player is 40 years old, and you've got Anthony Davis, your second best player there, who's probably scratching his head going, how exactly does it help me bringing this guy in who I really have no relationship with? This is LeBron's guy. It's not my guy here. You tend to worry here. But I think a lot of it has to do with, what do they give up at the draft? Do they go out and get a Donovan Mitchell? We currently agree, Donnie, that this team is currently constructed is barely going to make the play-in game, if that. So what can they do? Can they go get Donovan Mitchell? Can they utilize D'Angelo Russell to go and put in a package to go get somebody else? Jimmy Butler has also been rumored. I think a lot of his success is going to be determined about who they can go out and what deals they can make to put this team together. Because as it is, a 40-year-old LeBron James is not scaring anybody in the West.
Let me ask you this question on J.J. Redick, right? Like, what are the expectations for him as a coach? Forget about him. Let's just say even, okay, he stays more than 2 years or he turns out to be good. What are we getting out of him that we weren't getting out of Darvin Ham or Vogel in the past, which, again, one of those coaches did lead LeBron James's team to an NBA championship? That's the question I'm getting. Is it because we think he's going to be so fantastic at dialing up plays during a timeout? Or, Joe, is it just so simple? Hey, look, this is a business. We're trying to keep our stars in town. LeBron James is big box office. If LeBron James says he wants J.J. Redick, that's where we're going to go now. Is it just that simple, or are the expectations of, no, Like, J.J. Redick is a fantastic coach. I can't wait to see him with his X and O's.
So when you look at, again, the 7th hire in this franchise since 2011, tells you everything you need to know about what's going on. What in the world is Redick going to bring to the table from a coaching perspective that these other guys couldn't, right? Now, Darvin Ham apparently lost the locker room throughout the year. That's why they let him go. Well, of course he lost the locker room, because what he realized is, careful what you wish for, right, Donnie? Like, here, I get my shot. I'm the Lakers head coach. I've been an assistant for 1,000,000 years. Here's my chance. And then you get into this organization with this team and you're like, I have absolutely no ability to coach anything here. And he rubs all the guys the wrong way because LeBron turns on him and then the whole locker room turns on him. I don't know that LeBron James, the reason he left Spoelstra here in Miami the way he did is because he didn't want to be told what to do. Pat Riley told him, listen, LeBron, thanks, but go play basketball. We've got this. We'll run the organization. And he didn't want any part of that. So Redick is going to learn by fire, but ultimately he's going to be a scapegoat if it goes hard left here, Donnie. That's ultimately any head coach with the Lakers. That's what they have been over these, since 2011, they've been scapegoats, and he will be no different if this thing falls on its face.
Talk to me about this, too, because we like to look at it from every single angle. If you go back, let's just say a month ago, it was only J.J. Redick that we felt like was going to be the head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. Out of nowhere, we get the Woj bombs, the Shams tweets. How about this? Dan Hurley now in the mix, flying out to meet with Lakers ownership. We expect this to be wrapped up. It just comes down to dollar figures, which the dollar figures didn't match up because I think we could both agree. Dan Hurley gets a 6-year, $120 million contract. He's the Lakers head coach. He's happy. He's saying he always wanted to be there, and it was his dream come true. The reason why he's still at UConn here is because the money wasn't right. Now, the reason I bring that up is J.J. Redick probably thought he was going to be the coach a month ago. And then they go like, oh, J.J., stay over there on the side real quick. We got a real coach on the line right here that we're trying to reel in. Lost him. Hey, JJ, why don't you come in now? Do you still want to be the head coach? How does that actually work around the room? And will it make a difference over the next couple of years? They go, well, he wasn't even supposed to be the coach.
There were reports, Donnie, that the whole Hurley thing was a shock to LeBron and Anthony Davis. Like, they did not know. Like, in what world would LeBron James Danny Hurley, be like, okay, yeah, bring in a guy who's going to be full of, he's going to be full of fire. He's going to come in here. He's going to want it like LeBron wants. That's the antithesis of everything LeBron wants to be around. LeBron needs to be the guy who's calling the shots. I find it very hard to believe that he would have okayed that. So I do think we might have seen Jeannie Buss and company on one side going, we need to bring in a coach for the future that can actually cultivate talent. And then LeBron, when that didn't work out, I think LeBron James was like, are you guys out of your mind? And here's Redick, because it's the only other guy that LeBron James would be able to relate to. I don't know anybody else that would have taken the job, quite honestly, that LeBron would have approved. I think this was the only guy left. Who else was there rumors for outside of Redick? Once Hurley was gone, who was it? It was always just Redick and Hurley, we heard.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Also, keep in mind this, we're in a social media day and age. Now, Joe, let's date ourselves again. Go back to the 90s and early 2000s. What did you used to see on TV? Let's just go back to the NFL. The coaches show sponsored by your local Ford dealership that would run for a half hour on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. before the game actually played. They didn't answer anything. Nothing was controversial. Nope. It was just okay, coach is going to get paid for the show. It's programming that we can run. And you said, why would you even bring that up? Well, J.J. Redick runs a podcast with LeBron James. Is this going to continue here? It's hey, by the way, every Tuesday night, JJ and LeBron are going to talk about the Lakers and what's going on here. Does that end now at this point here? Because that was a big reason where LeBron James, I guess, was seeking out J.J. Redick to host that podcast. They got along well, and they probably started to talk hey, you know what? You might be able to be a coach. I'll put in a good word for you down at the job, meaning the Lakers. Is this going to continue? And how can it continue here when you're actually running the basketball team and you're just talking openly with your star player about things going on in the locker room or around the league?
Yeah, I no idea how that continues here. It might continue with a different host. I would imagine that's probably a possibility there, one that would be handpicked by LeBron. But let's be realistic here. If there's money to be made, they will do it, and I'm sure LeBron will keep it going, no problem. But I don't see how a head coach in the NBA is going to have time to, it's one thing doing a local hit at a radio station, right, or something, a local TV or something about the coach's corner, right? But what's involved in doing the podcast the way they have it, I just don't know how. And if he has time for it, well, then he's really not coaching this team, is he, here in any way, shape, or form? Done.
Now, Danny Hurley looks like, reading back through about 6 years, I think $70 million was the top end of it here. JJ Redick, I always get a kick out of this, too, because usually we get the numbers right away. Or the first tweet will come out, hey, they just signed the Lakers 4-year deal for Redick. 30 seconds later, Woj comes out with the financial details. So let me ask you this question. We know what was on the table out there. Let's just say 6 years, $70 million for Dan Hurley. What are the expectations on the contract? Are we approaching? Because I think it's actually going to be a little cheaper. I don't think he's getting 4 years, $40 million. What do you think these numbers are financially for JJ Redick to be the coach?
I think they're going to be a lot less than they were for Hurley. But let's not also just assume the reason Hurley didn't take the job, Donnie, was because the money wasn't there. Let's not assume that. Suppose the reason he didn't take the job was because he wanted absolutely nothing to do with trying to navigate through this year, and the money didn't matter. Changes the perspective of what this job is all about.
How about that? JJ Redick to the Lakers. How long will it last? The bigger questions are, what are the next hot topics coming down the road? I don't even know. Let's find out and get a good surprise. Make sure you stay tuned.